loops. Have here while loop. Loop can execute a block of code as long as a specified condition is reached. Loops are handy because they save time, effort, reduce errors, and make code more readable. Now we start with the first syntax for looping, that is while loop. Wherein a block of code is executed while specified condition is true. Yun yung alalahanin nyo. So if this condition is true, everything inside this block gets executed. Sample. The code in the loop will run over and over as long as variable I is less than 5. Variable I is less than 5. So you get that condition here and you set the initial value of I. This statement will print the value of I starting from 0. Okay, this portion was not mentioned on the syntax of looping. O ako na lang mag-explain ha. Etong part na to is initial value in reference to your condition kasi pag sinabi mo is I less than 5, yun yung magiging basis. Kailangan yan, initial value. Then, ito yung condition. Ito yung statement. And after the statement, your I must refresh or must update. Kasi kung dito lang siya magbe-based, walang update na mangyayari o walang refresher, then therefore, this loop will be unterminated or magiging never ending na siya. So, yun yung purpose nito, which in our case is an increment operator. Nag-i-increase. So, from 0, magiging 1. Ganun yung counting. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Let's try these examples. Ayan. From the first value is 0 less than 5. No. Or false. So, value 0 is printed. Then, we increment the value of I. It becomes 1. Then, it switches back to this condition. Is 1 less than 5? True. Therefore, it prints the value which is 1. And then, increase its value, magiging 2. Is 2 less than 5? Ganon ang ganon. Then, is 3 less than 5? Is 4 less than 5? Yes. Is 5 less than 5? No. And that signifies the end of the sequence. So, habang ito ay true, nag-print siya ng mag-print or everything within the block is executed. It only ends once the condition is false. Ulitin ko, pagdating niya sa 5, is 5 less than 5? No na. Therefore, it skips the block. Continue here, wherein wala na kang statement na kailangan execute. Terminates here. Now, I'll give you another sample. Let's say, you are asked to display all multiples of 10 from 1 to 100. Multiples of 10 from 1 to 100. Oh, we will start with, depende sa inyo ha, could start with 10. Our condition less than 110. And this will become plus equals 10. Take a look. When you run this one, you get all multiples of 10 from 1 to 100. Mga students, klaro? So, what you need to remember is the initial value. Ganun lang naman pag nagbigay ka ng instruction sa bata, magbilang ka nga from 10 to 100, di ba? Ganyan. So, you set the initial value, set its limit, and the interval. So, ganun rin yung another version on how to understand looping. You could also start with 1 here. Pwede naman yon. You end with 10 or 11. Or shall we say less than or equal? Oops. 10. That would be the limit. And this time, we just multiply this by 10. In that case, you will get the same result, students. Ay, 1. Hindi ko pala ito napalitan. And make this plus lang. Asos, tatlo ang plus. Okay, ulitin ko. Ayan. Same lang din, your result here will be 1, 2, 3 hanggang 10. However, what we did in print statement is we multiply it with 10. Since na-mention ko naman na multiples of 10. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. This time, let's say you were asked to display all multiples naman of 5. All multiples of 5 from 50 down to 1. 50 down to 1. Okay. Wants to volunteer for a solution using the while implementation? Multiples of 5 from 50 down to 1. Raise your hand. So to help you, this would be your initial or starting value. Within the parentheses is the limit condition. This one is your interval, which is an increment operator. Marunong naman kayo magbilang, diba? If you were asked to display all multiples of 5 from 50 to 1, what would be your initial value? May estudyante pa ba ako? Naka-off lahat ng cam. Pang-remove ko yung naka-off sa usa. Any volunteer to answer the exercise? Okay, if you would start with 50 using the solution na multiply pa natin siya, then this one be 10. Then, palitan ko yung condition. While it is greater than or equal to 1, pabaliktad, and we'll multiply this with 5. The interval would decrease. From 10, magiging 9 times 5, 8 times 5. Ganon. And we test the code. Students, this is not the only solution na you could devise other solutions. Ayan, that is the result. So, 10 times 5, 9 times 5, no, those are multiples of 10. Or you could have it start with 50 dito. Okay, galing sa 50 hanggang 5, pwede rin yun. So, take note that you are in between the starting or initial count and limit. So, 50 is greater than 5. That's why your condition is while I greater than or equal to 5. And we do not multiply, instead, just print the value of I. And dito, minus 5. So, this is a decrement. Decrement ito, operator. Ano nga tawag dito? Minus equals. Lipat ang sa term. Pakiusay, abi. Ano yung term na to? Limit is while it is greater than or equal to 5. You print the value of I, deduct 5. So anyway, same lang naman yung result. Ayan. In-execute ko, that's why it's loading right now. And you get the same result. Okay. May tanong? Okay, next. Note, do not forget to increase, otherwise the loop will never end. Or yung term dyan in looping is non-terminating loop. Okay, try kaya natin yung non-terminating para kita niya. Halimbawa ito ha. It starts with 5, tapos ginawa mo is nag-minus ka. O, 0, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1. Tignan niyo yung result. Lahat ng value would be less than 5 dahil nag-minus nga ni, o, di ba? O, ano, abong result. Ayan. Alright. Kita niyo pa? Ang dami pa niyan sa baba. Ito, actually, andito yung ating scroll bar. O, ayan. Ganun kadami. And it only ends with, ano itong value? With 138, negative 138,888 limit for an integer. So, always make notice, hindi lang initial value or initial count yung kailangan tandaan, dapat yung tatlo. They must cooperate all together. They had to communicate na after ng initial value, may interval, and then checking, which is your limit condition. Next is the do-while loop. It is called do-while loop because gawin nyo muna bago yung condition. Yung isa kasi kanina is condition muna. Ito, gawin mo muna bago yung condition. So, it is a variant of while loop. However, this loop will execute a block of code at least once before checking. Kasi yung checking is nasa ilalim. Okay, balik ko lang muna ha. Hindi pa nakontento si ma'am. Dito kasi, sa while loop, chine-check niya muna. Chine-check niya muna. Okay, initial value, then checking agad bago yung statement block. Eh paano ma'am kung halimbawa, your initial value, which is 10 here, is 10 less than 5. Diba? Hindi. False. Agad-agad false. So ano mangyayari? Wala siyang gagawin. Hindi siya papasok dito sa block of codes to be executed. Kasi nga, checking agad. So may tendency si while loop na walang magiging result pag yung sinet up mo na initial condition at limit ay hindi nag-usap-usap, walang coordination. You see? Madilim, walang result. Yan talaga, may babalik-balikan ka paminsan. So you get those ideas. Sa ito naman, sinasabi dito is, in a case na tulad kanina, false agad. Still, gagawin niya muna first lang ha. It has a chance of doing the block of code muna. And next to that, may condition niya. Therefore, yung pangalawang beses, hindi na niya gagawin. At least once. It could execute a block of code at least once. Why? Dahil nga yung checking is nasa ilalim. In the example below, do while loop always execute at least once, even if the condition is false, because the code block is executed before the condition is tested. Ulit-ulit. Okay, sample. Same example for while loop. Medyo mahaba lang ito, no? Ito yung kanyang initial. May do. Nabago lang sa ilalim. May tanong? Let's have another exercise. Kung walang tanong. Ulit. Okay, using do while implementation, you print all even numbers from 1 to 100. Yes, Tricia, are you raising your hand? The iba't naka-close taro camera. How do I know if you're still there, students? Huwag matulog ha. Idi seryo? Yes, ma'am. Ano daw? Okay, volunteer to answer the activity.
Ma'am,
Sausa, okay. Let's try.
1 to 100, di ba ma'am?
Yeah, all even numbers from 1 to 100.
Yung int, palitan yung int I equal 1. Then sa while, ma'am, is I is, palitan mo naman yung 5 and to 100. Yun yung po, ma'am.
Even numbers? Even numbers only. Yan na lang? Na ng ibang papalitan?
Yun mo lang, ma'am.
Ano yung mga value na even numbers from 1 to 100? Kagot si Salsa. Another solution? Yes, Shem?
Cut sa print line, ma'am, I times 2. And then cut sa while high, I is less than 51. Wala.
Okay. Umabot na siya? Okay, perfect. Other solutions? Hindi lang yan yung solusyon ha. May iba pang solusyon. Volunteer. Yes, Paduga.
Sa int, ma'am, 1 is equals to 2.
Yeah.
Tapos, sa increment, I plus equals 2. Tapos, sa while, I is less than 101.
Sa print.
Ma'am.
You
Same
sure?
lang.
You sure ito yung print mo?
I lang, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, you have the same result. Ayan. But different solution. For loop, same lang naman yung ating pinag-uusapan. Iiba-iba lang yung syntax. When you know exactly how many times do you want to loop through a block of code, ayan. May kasi, may mga special reason kung bakit mo, may hugot din kung bakit while implementation or do while implementation or for yung implementation na gagamitin for specific problem. Pag specified daw, tulad ng displaying values lang naman from 1 to 100 or the other way around, babaliktad, meaning specific yung counting lang yung dinidisplay, mas better to use this one. Wherein, napaka-igsi lang yan yung student. So, ito yung statement 1. Statement 1 is executed one time before the condition, before the execution of the block of code. So, parang ito yung initial na nilabel ko kanina. Then, statement 2 defines for executing the block of code condition. Okay, ito yung condition. And lastly, the statement 3 is executed after the block of code has been executed. So parang ito yung ating increment or decrement interval portion. O, mas maigsi sa tignan nyo ito. Displaying value from 0 to 5. Ay 0 to 4 pala. Ayan lang siya kaigsi. O, diba? One line lang lahat. So if you will be displaying values all add numbers from 1 to 100, ganyan lang. Ayan, lahat ng odd numbers from 1 to 100. Diba, mas simple? Ay, plus equals 2. Kalimutan ko yung interval. Ayan. Mas maigsi ito. Okay? So, iba't ibang implementation lang sa isang loops. Yun yung na-introduce ko sa inyo today. Do we have an exercise here? Ito. Let's try this one. It starts with 1. Limit up to 10. Okay, I equals I plus 2, which means increment niya is plus 2. So, it would start with 0, then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, andito na yung exercise. Volunteer to answer the first exercise. Use a for loop to print yes 5 times. Yes, Kabangon.
For
Tama.
tapos increment niya operator. Tapos yes na ano na naka-quotation.
Yeah, tama. Naka-quote. Next. Print I as long as I is less than 6. Okay, you'll just practice all of these exercises as students. If you could not do it now, this would be an assignment. Gawin niya na lang ha. Lahat kayo mag-practice kasi mag-i-end na yung ating meeting. Okay, wala nang mag-volunteer to answer this one? Yes, Eliserio?
While ma'am, tsaka
Yeah, perfect.
this yung kay tsaka yung plus.
Okay, I++. Tama. Next. Use do while loop to print I as long as I is less than 6.